And welcome to our show. A good morning to you, and I appreciate you starting your day here with us on Atlanta CW Network. Let's jump right into a question now from one of our viewers. Gary, thanks in advance for your help with this. I think I may have screwed up. I was hurt in a wreck in June when a teenage driver rear-ended me. I went to the emergency room and then to my doctor for a couple of visits. The insurance adjuster was very nice and helped me get a rental and my car repaired. She essentially sweet-talked me into a settlement, assuring me that I should be fine. So I settled my claim and signed a release, but now I'm still hurting. I still have pain in my neck and get bad headaches too. Is there anything you can do to help me? Matthew in Cumming. Matthew, I'm sorry. You did screw up. When you settled your claim and signed that release, your case was done. It's over. There's nothing that you can do to reopen it. And this is a trick that insurance companies are using every day right here in Georgia. They'll dangle that quick check in front of you in hopes you will take it. And if you do take it, you are waiving the right to pursue any other claims. So it's a bad idea to settle your case without talking with an attorney. And it's also a bad idea to even consider settling your claim unless and until you have received the necessary treatment for your injuries. So I want to bring in a special guest to help address this question. Joining me now is Dr. Connelly. Dr. Connelly has been in practice for over 17 years here in the Atlanta area, and he specializes in the treatment of all types of injuries and chronic pain. Dr. Connelly, thank you.
Well, thank you, Gary, and I really appreciate being here today.
Well, thank you for coming. Well, you heard Matthew's question. He messed up when he settled his claim, and he can't pursue any other claims against the insurance company. But he also messed up by not having a full understanding of the nature and extent of his injuries.
He did, and he really did mess up, but I do see it every day. And people, they think that they're getting better, but they try and settle the case on their own, and they wind up settling the case, but it turns out that they do have more serious injuries, and they don't get the appropriate care.
And this happened to a patient of yours, I understand.
It did. In fact, about 3 years ago, there was a patient who had a really bad car accident. They actually had a herniated disc, but they were a truck driver, and they were, really trying to work as much as they can. It was around Christmas time, and they needed money to pay the rent and to pay their bills. And so they settled the claim on their own, and they thought they could just use their health insurance to pay for their medical services. Well, once they settled their claim, about 6 months later, they continued to have pain. We got an MRI. It turned out they needed a herniated disc, and about 1 year later, they had to have surgery.
Wow. And he went to an attorney and asked if he had a case, and what happened?
And the attorney said no, he didn't have a case because the case had already settled.
Right. Well, as a doctor, what is the best advice that you can give to a person that's involved in a wreck and they're hurting?
Well, the best thing to do is to get a good diagnosis. That's the first step, is to get a good diagnosis, because I would say a good diagnosis is the first step to a great treatment.
All right, tell us really what you mean by this.
Well, the treatment really depends on what is going on with the patient. So if someone has a herniated disc or some type of problem that is more anatomical, then the doctor can give a better treatment, because if you don't know what's wrong with them, how can you treat them?
You're just guessing at that point as a doctor.
You are. And we see this so often in our practice. Patients come in with chronic pain or continued pain after a car accident, and you ask, why are they still hurting? And they say, I don't know, I'm just in pain. So a diagnosis is one of the most important steps to getting a patient better.
And the patient needs to be compliant, keeping all the appointments, doing everything that you suggest they do, the physical therapy, the home exercises. They can even go for a second opinion with a doctor to get additional tests if they need to.
It is, and also it's important because if they do have a good diagnosis, then that should have a certain protocol to get them back to normal. But one thing when treating patients, it is important to also have outcomes and be able to make sure they're getting better. And if they're getting better with the treatment, then that's a great thing. If they're not getting better, then a second opinion or have someone else look at their problem is never a bad thing.
Well, let's talk about chronic pain for a moment. There's an old saying, the easiest pain to bear is someone else's, and I think that this is so true. No one wants to hurt because pain itself can be debilitating.
Gary, I treat people every day with chronic pain, and the side effects can be devastating. In fact, more people suffer from chronic pain every year than diabetes, heart disease, and cancer combined. So the National Institute for Health Centers actually say that 76 million people suffer from chronic pain.
Wow. And in our viewer's question, he told us he was still in pain from his injuries. How can someone prevent chronic pain following an accident?
Well, again, it gets back to a good diagnosis. But let me give you some good statistics about chronic pain related to a car accident. In fact, a great study that was published in June of 2010 that was done in Europe found that 30 years after a car accident, 40% of people still had pain that they attributed from a car accident. 15% of those people had significant symptoms that they said were from a car accident. So car accidents can cause long-term pain, but a diagnosis is very important.
And on average, 75% of patients with whiplash injuries will heal within 2 to 3 months. 25% of patients with whiplash injuries will progress to chronic symptoms.
That's true. That's true.
Well, how do you treat chronic pain?
Well, basically, again, it starts with the diagnosis, is getting back into what's the appropriate diagnosis or the accurate diagnosis. It's also very important to have proper treatment based on those diagnoses.
And this could include chiropractic care, physiotherapy, disc compression exercise, injury avoidance, home care, massage, and there may need to be a referral out to a specialist.
Exactly. Sometimes even surgery is needed. There's some patients I see where chiropractic or physical therapy can't help, and if it didn't help in the past, it may not be the right thing for them. So sometimes surgery is needed.
Well, Dr. Connelly, thank you again for taking the time to come out and be with us. How about your website, if you don't mind?
painatlanta.com, and you could also reach us at 770-469-7330.
Well, Dr. Connelly, you are certainly an expert in your field. I respect you, and more importantly, the insurance companies respect you, and your patients love you. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.